So there's Me Too is such a huge thing, and I've been doing a lot of research and reading and thinking about it. And I actually got invited to a men's only Facebook group recently, and I posted about this interview. I'm not sure if anyone came from it, but the response that I'm seeing inside men's response to Me Too is very negative, scared, defensive, passive aggressive. There's been a very strong, I'm noticing, response of men to Me Too. And so just a little snippet from this group was um, men's anger about not having the relationship they want, men saying the fact that they're abused as much as women, that the media think that women own victimhood, a post about a video about the war on men. So my point is Me Too is arising for men, and they're feeling a lot of feelings. And I know you work also with women and men. What's your response to men who are having a fear-based response to Me Too?
One of the beauties of this time is that all of these things in their actual form are pretty complex and rich and nuanced, and that to have a real conversation like we're having, to have a real conversation about any of these issues actually requires becoming much more aware and nuanced than most people are used to. One of the questions I get really often is about a potential backlash, a backlash against Me Too. One of the things I keep saying is we need to make allies out of men fast. We need to make allies out of the men. Grab all the men you can, give them something to do, give them a way to participate. They don't have to lead the show, but they cannot be excluded, because if they're excluded, they're sitting in the sidelines with feelings and reactions and nowhere to put it. And that's super dangerous. The other thing is that, right now, one of the focuses of what I'm teaching, and this is just a small snippet of the curriculum, but it's a very important one, is about helping women deal with the moment they freeze. And this relates to men. I'll get to that in a second. There are moments where women choose to stay silent because they have, systemic issues. That they might lose a job, money, legal things. They might choose to stay silent. There are also these moments of choiceless silence where a woman totally shuts down and freezes, and it becomes incredibly difficult for her to speak even if she wants to. It's like her nervous system is hijacked. So one of the reasons I'm focusing on teaching women how to break the freeze right now is because I feel like a lot of the things that especially really well-intentioned men might be experiencing is suddenly being at fault for things in the past they had no idea were happening. We say things like men should know better, men should know better, men should know better. That statement is useless because they don't.
Right.
And they're not getting, and a lot of times they're not getting the feedback they need. We're social beings. We learn in a particular kind of way. We get feedback. They're not getting the feedback that they need. Now, I'm not blaming women and I'm not blaming men. I'm saying this is just one of the things that happens that's contributing to the difficulty in having a real conversation about what would it take to have that party at the end of the patriarchy. So I think that there are a lot of different ways to, not just a lot of different ways to address this. We need all kinds of tools. We need all kinds of ideas. The one that I'm focusing on right now is supporting women when they freeze to be able to speak so that the men that they're in front of, the men that they're dealing with, can have feedback, whether it's, and a chance to clarify their communications, because sometimes just really awkward, clumsy communications from men that are innocent are enough to trigger a woman to a place where she feels violated, victimized, and cannot speak for herself.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I mean, that fits in with my lineage that men are dumb and women are angry. And what's happening is that there's just a lack of communication. And I totally agree with you. This chasm between something that hits person A so negatively and person B has no idea that anything even happened. And it happens all the time between men and women, because men and women, I think, see the world very differently with different levels of sensitivity. And the ability to communicate when this happened. Person A, when you did this, this is what I felt, is so uber important for the improved relations between all people.
Yeah. And then there are people who do know better, right?
True.
There are uses of power.
Of course.
And the thing that keeps coming back is, especially for a woman, how can she clarify? How can she cut through the ambiguity?
Mm-hmm.
Find out if he knows or not. Is this malicious, or is this well intentioned and super clumsy? Like,
Mm-hmm.
the women speaking up is, and all that goes into that.
Mm-hmm.
Super, super important. It's what we're all talking about these days.
True.